Widower Daniel Brooker says pain can either paralyze us or give us purpose.
And after losing his wife to ovarian cancer, he asked God what he should do with his pain, and here's what he discovered.
Most of us have been through something in our life that's caused us to ask the question, why? For me, that happened as I grieved the death of my 28-year-old wife. I remember crying out to God for answers. Why is this my pain? Why is this my story? But I didn't get an answer. It caused me to cry out even more. God, why do I have to go through this? But still nothing. And I began to realize that I may never have the answers to the questions I'm asking. And it caused me to cry out from the depths of my soul, God, what do I do with this pain? It's too great to be wasted. And that's when God began to answer me. Not my why, but my what. And he answered me with his word. 2 Corinthians 1:4 says, God comes alongside us when we're going through hard times and comforts us. And before we know it, he brings us alongside someone else who's hurting and asks us to comfort them in the same way that he comforted us. As I read that verse over and over, I began to realize that I had two choices in front of me. One, I could either let my pain paralyze me and keep me from taking another step forward, or I can actually give purpose to my pain and come alongside someone else who's hurting and be there for them, be closest on the hardest days, and fill them with the truth and the hope of God's word. If you're in the middle of your pain right now and you're asking the same questions, God, why is this my story? Ask them, be honest, be open with God, because he wants to know your heart. But eventually I encourage you to get to the place where you can ask God, what should you do with your pain? Because if you're willing to ask him, he will answer you. And it'll be in a way that is so much greater than anything you could ever imagine.
Such an incredible, brief but powerful teaching from Daniel. I can't even imagine, losing a young spouse, 28 years old. But here he is, and I believe he is remarried with children and stuff. So God is faithful. But even in those painful moments and situations, it's really hard to still believe that God is faithful and God is sovereign. It's so interesting. Yesterday for Mother's Day, it was a great service at my church, and we had one of our members speaking, and she was talking about Hannah and Samuel. And she was encouraging the congregation about what Hannah did. She was barren. She was mourning mourning the dreams of having children. There's a whole thing. We can go on about how Penina treated her, the wife that she was in competition with. But ultimately, she took her grief to the Lord. And she poured out herself, so much so that the priest thought she was drunk. And I just think that, Daniel, it's kind of connected. He said, take that to the Lord. Ask God, what am I supposed to do with this pain? You might not receive an answer of why you're going through this, but God will answer you on what to do. And some of the best things that we can do when we're feeling just brokenhearted and grieving is go to the Lord.
Yeah, and sometimes that's difficult to do because we're angry with God.
Yeah, true.
So we don't have this. We don't want to have this posture of going before Him with an inquiry.
Yeah.
However, it's important to try and fight through that and just do it anyway. Like just get on your knees. And something actually he said that I was struck with was when he prayed, he said, Lord, it was something like, this pain is too great to waste.
Wow.
That's quite a perspective, isn't it?
No,
I mean,
definitely.
that's looking toward the future. How can I grow from this? How can I help other people? What a mature perspective to have in pain. It's too great to waste.
And I would even submit this too. I think it's okay to bring your even anger with God to God. I don't think God is going to be upset with us for coming to him when we're like, God, why? That's just my opinion.
Yeah, well, it's possible, I have found, to do that reverently, so to speak.
Right, yeah, you're not disrespecting.
I know that's what you mean.
Yeah.
But I mean, you read through the Psalms. David did that often. It was a questioning, and because if we bury him, our sadness can become rage, and that's a real bad place to be.
Definitely.
So, a lot of wisdom from Daniel there.
Yeah.